Churros. Churros were brought to Europe by Portuguese sailors returning from China in the 16th century, where a similar fried dough called youtiao had existed for centuries. Spain adapted the recipe, added cinnamon sugar, and paired it with thick hot chocolate for dipping. Spanish colonization carried churros to Mexico and Latin America, where they evolved into the street food format that reached the United States through Mexican-American communities. Disney theme parks began selling churros in the 1980s and now sell approximately 3.5 million annually across their parks. A 16th century Portuguese sailor snack became one of the most recognizable theme park foods in the world. Suka Sushi Push-Up. Suka Sushi opened on Lexington Avenue in Manhattan and immediately went viral on TikTok. The concept is simple: a sushi roll assembled inside a thick cardboard tube, pushed upward from the bottom to eat, with soy sauce delivered in a separate thin tube inserted through the bottom. The owners said the idea came from a common frustration. Sushi is great, but not always easy to eat on the move. Traditional Japanese sushi chefs have expressed reactions ranging from curiosity to visible distress. Suka Sushi was not trying to improve sushi. It was trying to make sushi impossible to scroll past on TikTok. It succeeded completely. LA Street Smashburger. The smashburger is not a burger that was accidentally flattened. It is a burger that was intentionally destroyed, and that destruction is the entire point. A ball of ground beef is pressed hard onto a screaming hot griddle, maximizing surface area in contact with the metal. The Maillard reaction activates across the entire face of the patty, creating more crust per bite than any thick patty can produce. Smashburgers existed at diners for decades before Los Angeles food trucks made them a cultural moment in the 2010s. The cooks who made them first never had a name for the technique. They just knew it worked. Funnel cake. Funnel cake arrived in Pennsylvania with German immigrants in the 1800s and was called Strauben in German-speaking communities. The batter is poured through a funnel in circular patterns directly into hot oil, creating a lacy fried dough that is dusted with powdered sugar immediately after cooking. American state fairs adopted it in the 1970s, and it became the defining fair food of the East Coast. The smell of funnel cake frying is so specifically associated with fairgrounds that it functions as a sensory trigger for childhood memories across multiple generations of Americans. No other food smells like exactly that one specific thing. Strawberry chocolate cup. Chocolate fountains were invented in 1991 by Canadian inventor Ben Brisman, who adapted commercial chocolate tempering technology into a recirculating fountain format for event catering. The concept moved from wedding buffets to street food when vendors realized that individual portions in clear cups, fresh fruit submerged in warm flowing chocolate, created a visual that photographed perfectly. The strawberry chocolate cup became a fixture at European Christmas markets and American food festivals in the 2010s. The transparent cup showing layers of fruit and chocolate was designed as much for social media as for eating. A 1991 Canadian catering invention became a global street food trend 30 years later because it looks good in a photograph. Birria Tacos. Birria is a Mexican stew from Jalisco. It existed for 500 years as wedding food. In 2019, a Los Angeles taco truck started dipping tortillas in the braising liquid before grilling them. Someone filmed it. The video went viral. Within 6 months, birria trucks had opened in every major American city. Within 2 years, every Mexican restaurant in the country had birria on the menu. A 500-year-old stew became the most Googled taco in America. The reason it went viral was not the flavor. It was the dip. Someone dipped a tortilla in the wrong pot and changed the entire taco industry. Korean mozzarella corn dog. The Korean corn dog uses rice flour batter instead of cornmeal, producing a chewier, lighter exterior than the American original. The potato cube coating, small cubes of raw potato pressed into the batter before frying, creates a textured surface that crisps into something between a hash brown and a crouton surrounding the dog. The mozzarella version stretches to lengths that make every eating experience a social media moment, whether intended or not. Korean corn dog shops began opening in American cities in 2020 and generated lines that suggested the country had been waiting for this specific product without knowing it existed. A Korean reinvention of a 1942 Texas State Fair invention went viral 80 years later. Taiyaki ice cream. Taiyaki are Japanese fish-shaped waffles that have been sold from street carts in Japan since 1909. The fish shape, specifically a sea bream called tai, was chosen because tai is considered a lucky fish in Japanese culture. Traditional taiyaki are filled with sweet red bean paste. The ice cream version, a soft-serve cone served inside a warm taiyaki waffle, was introduced by Korean-American dessert shops in New York around 2016 and spread nationally within 2 years. The contrast of warm waffle and cold ice cream in a visually distinctive fish shape made it one of the most photographed street foods of the decade. A 1909 Japanese street cart snack became a 2016 New York food trend because it photographs from every angle. Chicago deep dish pizza. Deep dish pizza was invented at Pizzeria Uno in Chicago in 1943 by Ike Sewell, who wanted a pizza substantial enough to be a full meal. The result was a 2-inch tall cast iron construction with dough pressed up the sides, cheese on the bottom, toppings in the middle, and crushed tomatoes on top. The order is reversed from every other pizza because the cheese would burn in a 45-minute bake. New York has spent 80 years arguing that deep dish is not real pizza. Chicago has spent 80 years not caring. Gyros. Gyros means turn in Greek. The same rotating spit technique as shawarma and Döner, developed independently in Greece. The difference is in the details. Shawarma uses tahini and flatbread. Döner uses white sauce and pita. Gyros uses tzatziki, tomato, onion, and fries inside the wrap. Greece puts fries inside the wrap itself, not on the side, inside. Greeks consider this completely logical. Everyone else considers it chaotic. Gyros became one of the most popular fast foods in Germany and the Netherlands after Greek immigrants arrived in the 1960s and never left. Döner kebab. The Döner kebab, as the world knows it, was invented in Berlin in 1972 by a Turkish immigrant named Kadir Nurman. He served rotating spit meat inside flatbread for workers who needed to eat while walking. Germany did not invent the concept. Germany perfected the format. Today, Germany sells around 400 million Döner kebabs per year. That is more than McDonald's sells in Germany. A Turkish immigrant's street food idea now outsells the most powerful fast food corporation on earth in the country where it was invented. Maine lobster roll. Lobster rolls were invented in 1929 at Perry's restaurant in Milford, Connecticut, not Maine. Maine took the concept, perfected it, and now owns it culturally to the point where the origin story is rarely mentioned. The Maine version is cold lobster meat briefly dressed in mayonnaise, served in a split-top hot dog bun toasted in butter. The Connecticut version is warm lobster and melted butter. Both states consider the other version a mistake. Maine produces over 100 million pounds of lobster annually. The same crustacean that colonial servants complained about eating too often now sells for $40 a roll on the harbor. Nashville hot chicken. Nashville hot chicken was invented in the 1930s as an act of revenge. Thornton Prince's girlfriend, furious about his late nights out, loaded his fried chicken with cayenne pepper, intending to punish him. He loved it. He built a restaurant around it. Prince's Hot Chicken Shack has been operating in Nashville ever since. The dish stayed local for 70 years until food media discovered it in the 2010s. Within 5 years, every major fast food chain in America had released a hot chicken sandwich. A revenge meal became a billion-dollar fast food category. The girlfriend has never received credit. French fries. French fries are not French. They were invented in Belgium in the late 1600s when villagers along the Meuse River began frying small fish. When the river froze in winter and fish became unavailable, they cut potatoes into fish shapes and fried those instead. American soldiers stationed in Belgium during World War I encountered them, assumed they were French because the Belgian army spoke French, and brought the name home. Belgium has been correcting this mistake for over a century. Nobody is listening. McDonald's now sells more French fries every day than Belgium produces potatoes in a week. Falafel wrap. Falafel has been eaten across the Middle East for over 1,000 years. Egypt, Israel, Lebanon, and Palestine all claim to have invented it, and none of them have stopped arguing about it. The chickpea fritter, fried until crispy, stuffed into pita with tahini, tomatoes, and pickled vegetables, arrived in Western cities through Middle Eastern immigration in the 1970s and 1980s. In Amsterdam, Berlin, and London, falafel wraps became the default cheap street food for students and late-night crowds. A 1,000-year-old Middle Eastern staple is now the most eaten street food in several European capitals.
Popeyes. In 2019, Popeyes released a chicken sandwich. Within 2 weeks, every location in America had sold out. One man in Maryland was stabbed in a fight over the last sandwich. A single fast food item caused a stabbing. McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's all panicked and rushed their own versions to market. The media called it the Chicken Sandwich Wars. All from a restaurant that failed completely in its first month and almost never reopened.
California burrito. The California burrito was invented in San Diego in the 1980s and contains something no other burrito in the world contains: French fries inside the burrito. The logic is simple. San Diego's proximity to the Mexican border created a fusion culture where carne asada, cheese, sour cream, and a full serving of French fries were wrapped together into a single object. Food critics initially dismissed it as excessive. San Diego residents responded by eating more of them. The California burrito is now considered one of the defining regional foods of Southern California.
Wendy's spicy nuggets. Wendy's introduced spicy chicken nuggets in 1983, making them one of the first fast food chains to offer a spicy nugget format. Then removed them from the menu in 2017. The internet responded with a level of sustained outrage that surprised even Wendy's own marketing team. A Twitter campaign demanding their return gained so much traction that Wendy's agreed to bring them back if a tweet received 2 million likes. It reached 2 million likes. Wendy's brought the spicy nuggets back in 2019. The campaign demonstrated that removing a beloved product creates more brand loyalty than keeping it would have generated. Wendy's accidentally discovered that threatening to take something away permanently is more powerful marketing than any advertisement they could have purchased. Spring rolls. Spring rolls take their name from the Chinese New Year tradition of eating them to celebrate the arrival of spring. The original was a thin pancake filled with spring vegetables harvested after winter. The recipe spread across Southeast Asia and transformed completely in every country it touched. Vietnamese spring rolls use rice paper and are served fresh and cold. Chinese and Filipino versions are deep fried until shatteringly crispy. Thai versions are larger and packed with glass noodles. Same name, completely different food depending on where you order it. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets were invented in 1979 by a food scientist named Roger Baker, who spent years trying to find a way to attach breading to chicken without it falling off. The solution was a batter system that locked the coating to the meat at the molecular level. McNuggets launched nationally in 1983, and within 1 year, McDonald's became the second largest chicken purchaser in the United States. The 4 shapes, bell, boot, ball, and bone, are not random. They were designed specifically to cook evenly from frozen because uniform thickness across different shapes ensures consistent internal temperature. A food scientist's molecular bonding solution changed how the world eats chicken forever. Every chicken nugget sold anywhere on Earth traces its existence back to Roger Baker's laboratory in 1979. Barbacoa burrito. Barbacoa comes from the Caribbean indigenous word that also gave English the word barbecue. Traditional barbacoa involves slow-cooking beef cheeks or head meat wrapped in leaves underground over hot coals for hours until the collagen breaks down completely and the meat falls apart on contact. Mexican families traditionally ate barbacoa on Sunday mornings after church. Chipotle brought barbacoa to mainstream American awareness in the 2000s, and it became one of their most ordered proteins. The most tender meat in any burrito has a direct linguistic connection to the word Americans use for backyard grilling. French crepes. The crepe originated in Brittany in northwestern France in the 13th century, where buckwheat grown in the coastal region was used to make thin, flat cakes. The batter is spread across a hot, flat pan in a circular motion and cooked for under a minute. France sells over 2 billion crepes per year. Crepe Day, called Le Chandeleur, is celebrated every February 2nd across France. The tradition of flipping a crepe while holding a coin in the other hand and making a wish if the crepe lands correctly in the pan is practiced by millions of French families annually. A medieval Breton survival food became a national holiday tradition complete with coin-flipping superstitions. Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. Chick-fil-A is closed every Sunday. every single Sunday. While every competitor stays open 7 days a week, Chick-fil-A deliberately loses millions every Sunday for religious reasons. The result? More revenue per restaurant than McDonald's. A restaurant closed 1 day a week beats every competitor that never closes. Their nuggets are made from whole breast meat, never formed or processed, marinated in a proprietary blend for 24 hours before pressure cooking. A chain that refuses to work 1 day a week produces the nugget that every other chain is trying to copy. The original sandwich has 3 ingredients: chicken, 2 pickles, and a buttered bun. Billions of dollars built on 2 pickles. Chick-fil-A figured this out before anyone else and has never changed it. Philly cheesesteak. The Philly cheesesteak was invented in 1930 by Pat Olivieri, a hot dog vendor in South Philadelphia who threw beef scraps on his grill one afternoon and put them in a bread roll. A cab driver smelled it, asked for one, and told him to sell that instead. Pat did. The cheese came later. The correct cheese is Cheese Whiz, not provolone, not American. Locals will tell you this immediately and with conviction. The roll must be from Amorosa's Bakery. The beef must be shaved thin. Every cheesesteak sold outside Philadelphia is an approximation. Some are good, none are correct. Banh mi. Banh mi exists entirely because of French colonialism. France colonized Vietnam in the mid-1800s and introduced the baguette. Vietnamese bakers adapted it using rice flour, creating a lighter, crispier version. After France left, Vietnamese immigrants brought banh mi to the United States and Australia, where it became one of the most celebrated street foods in both countries. The combination of French bread, pickled vegetables, fresh herbs, and chili created something neither French nor Vietnamese had ever made before. Colonialism accidentally produced one of the greatest sandwiches in human history.
Fried ice cream should not be possible. Ice cream melts. Frying requires heat. The solution is temperature and speed. A scoop of ice cream is frozen extremely hard, coated in a thick layer of batter or crushed cornflakes, and submerged in oil for less than 30 seconds. The exterior fries, the interior stays frozen. The contrast of hot crust and cold cream is the entire point. Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant chain popularized it in America in the 1980s. The dish has no Mexican origin, despite being served at Mexican restaurants for 40 years. It was invented for the American market and attributed to Mexico for atmosphere.
KFC did not invent fried chicken. He invented a system for cooking it quickly, consistently, and at scale, then franchised that system around the world. Sanders developed his recipe in Corbin, Kentucky in the 1930s at a roadside restaurant where he used a pressure fryer and a blend of seasoning he described as 11 herbs and spices. Pressure frying sealed moisture inside the meat while cutting cooking time from around 15 minutes to under 9. He began franchising the concept in the 1952 and by 1964 had sold the company with over 600 locations already running. KFC introduced fried chicken as a food category to countries where it had no prior tradition. In Japan, a 1974 marketing campaign positioned KFC as a Christmas meal, and the association became so strong that Japanese families now book KFC weeks in advance every December. The chain operates in over 150 countries.
Fried mac and cheese bites. Fried mac and cheese bites emerged from American state fair culture in the 2000s when fair vendors began asking a simple question: what happens if we fry this? The answer, in the case of macaroni and cheese, was extremely good. Chilled mac and cheese holds its shape when breaded and fried, producing a crispy exterior and a molten interior that delivers the entire comfort food experience in a single bite. Applebee's put them on their national menu in 2010. Every casual dining chain followed. A state fair experiment became a permanent fixture on American appetizer menus within a decade. Mozzarella sticks. Mozzarella sticks were invented in American restaurants in the 1970s as appetizers specifically designed to be ordered while waiting for the main course. The concept of breading cheese and deep frying it produces a result where the exterior sets before the interior fully melts, creating the cheese pull effect that became the defining visual of the dish. PGI Fridays standardized the format nationally in the 1980s and distributed the recipe to their entire chain simultaneously. The cheese pull became a marketing tool before social media existed. Advertisements showing mozzarella sticks being pulled apart were among the most effective food advertisements of the 1980s. A stretching cheese visual sold more appetizers than any flavor description could.